There's something he does when he's thinking about you sexually, and I guarantee you've caught him doing it without even knowing. It's not a text, it's not some smooth line, it's in the micro behaviors, the things he does when he thinks you're not watching. Now, don't confuse sexual thoughts with genuine connection. A man can want you and still not be ready for you. But if he's in that zone, fantasizing, drawn in, attracted, he'll start doing these subtle primal things, like suddenly shifting his posture when you walk in, or laughing a little too hard at your joke, not because it was funny, but because it was you. You've probably noticed him go quiet mid-conversation, almost like his brain paused. That's not confusion, that's chemistry overtaking logic. When a man is thinking about you sexually, one of the most immediate, unconscious things he does is shift his attention the moment you enter the space. This isn't always loud or obvious. In fact, it's usually subtle. Blink, and you'll miss it. Imagine you're at a party or in a group setting. Everyone's talking, laughing, interacting. The second you walk into the room, his energy shifts. It could be something as quick as a double take, a pause mid-sentence, or suddenly adjusting his posture, like he's just remembered how he wants to be seen by you. His body becomes alert, as if something just clicked into focus. He's now aware, in a way he wasn't before. It's not just that you're present, it's that you've changed the chemistry of the room for him. This is the kind of reaction that's hard to fake because it bypasses conscious thought. You didn't say anything, you didn't touch him, you just existed, and that was enough to trigger a primal part of his brain. That awareness can lead to a variety of micro-reactions. His feet may point toward you, his chest may turn slightly in your direction, or his eyes may dart toward you and then quickly away, like he's trying not to give himself away. It's that split second where his attention snaps like a rubber band, from whatever else he was doing, back to you. It's not love, and it's not always even personal, but it is a sign of desire. What's telling is how he continues to act. If this shift in attention turns into focus, like he keeps subtly checking in on where you are in the room or who you're talking to, it's likely that you've taken up more space in his mind than he wants to admit. When desire hits, men don't always come closer right away, but they do start watching closely. When a man is thinking about you sexually, his eyes will often betray him long before his words or actions do. One of the most common signs is subtle eye scanning. This isn't the cartoonish, obvious staring that makes people uncomfortable. It's far more nuanced, quick, instinctive glances that usually happen when he thinks you're not paying attention. His eyes will naturally travel, not just to your face, but down to other parts of your body, your neck, your lips, your hips. He might not even realize he's doing it because it's not always intentional. It's a reflex, triggered by attraction and desire, much like how we look longer at things that stimulate or interest us. The key detail here is how brief and fragmented these looks are. They're not always a long stare, they can be flickers, rapid shifts, like his eyes are trying to absorb more information without getting caught. This behavior often happens in moments of silence or transition, like when you're turning away, picking something up, laughing, or simply walking into a room. When men experience sexual thoughts, the visual center of the brain becomes more active. His eyes are essentially doing what his words aren't, communicating attention, interest, and curiosity. And while you might feel like you're not being looked at directly, you may still feel watched. That's because this kind of attention carries a certain weight. It feels charged. His gaze lingers just a second longer than necessary, and even if he quickly looks away when you catch him, that moment has already spoken volumes. It's not always about ogling or being disrespectful. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. He might be trying not to look too much, which ironically makes it more obvious. His restraint, the controlled glances, the way he pulls his eyes back to safe areas like your eyes or hands, it all adds up to a silent confession of attraction. When a man is thinking about you sexually, one of the most telling signs is how he physically adjusts himself in your presence. These aren't grand gestures or theatrical movements, but subtle, nervous shifts that signal heightened self-awareness. The moment you walk into the room or enter his personal space, he becomes acutely aware of how he's being perceived, especially by you. You might catch him straightening his back, adjusting his shirt, fixing his collar, or running a hand through his hair. These movements are not purely about comfort. They're small grooming rituals triggered by arousal and the desire to look more attractive in your eyes. It's the biological equivalent of a bird fluffing its feathers. This response is often automatic. He may not even consciously realize he's doing it. These micro adjustments come from a place of wanting to appear more masculine, confident, or in control. If he was relaxed before you arrive, he might suddenly become more alert, squaring his shoulders or planting his feet more firmly. If he's seated, he might shift his position, lean forward slightly, or rest an arm in a more open, expansive posture. In evolutionary psychology, these actions are often linked to display behaviors, non-verbal cues meant to attract a potential mate. So when he fiddles with his watch or tugs at his sleeve, it's not always about fidgeting. It's his subconscious saying, "Look at me, I'm here." Sometimes these adjustments also serve as a distraction, a way to release nervous energy. Sexual attraction creates tension, and the body naturally looks for ways to manage that tension. That's why you might notice him touching his face more, cracking his knuckles, or repositioning something nearby just to keep his hands busy. All of these subtle, seemingly insignificant gestures are part of a larger shift in his energy, one that signals he's moved from casual presence to focused attention. When a man is thinking about you sexually, his behavior often shifts into what can best be described as a testosterone spike mode. This doesn't mean he becomes aggressive or inappropriate. It means his body is subtly responding to desire by boosting hormones that increase his need to impress, compete, and stand out. One of the most common things you'll notice is an increase in assertiveness. He may start speaking with more confidence, taking up a bit more space, or becoming more decisive in his tone and actions. Even if he's usually laid back or quiet, something about your presence activates that instinct to demonstrate his value, strength, or leadership. This is often where competitiveness can show up, especially if there are other men around. He might not openly challenge anyone, but his tone sharpens slightly, or he starts to dominate more of the conversation. He may laugh a little louder, share an achievement, or even drop in some light bragging, not necessarily to show off, but to position himself as a man worth noticing. In subtle ways, he's trying to mark his territory, even if there's no clear claim being made. This behavior doesn't come from arrogance, it's primal. The presence of someone he finds sexually attractive automatically activates the part of his brain wired to pursue, protect, and prove. Sometimes this spike in energy takes a more playful form. He might start teasing you lightly, challenging your opinions in a flirty way, or inserting himself into your space more confidently. His movements may become more grounded, deliberate, and purposeful. You may even notice his voice drop slightly in pitch, a physiological response that makes him sound more masculine. These are not conscious choices, but instinctive reactions. His body and mind are both leaning forward, preparing for the possibility of connection, attraction, and attention, and the desire to stand out from the crowd becomes suddenly and powerfully important to him. By the way, If you've ever wondered whether a man's interest is just physical, or if he's genuinely drawn to you, I'll give you a way to tell in the next 60 seconds. But first, watch for this one sign. When a man is thinking about you sexually, one of the most revealing signs is how his sense of humor shifts, especially toward playful, flirty teasing. This isn't the kind of teasing that crosses a line or insults. It's more about creating a spark, a charged interaction that allows him to test the waters without being too obvious. There's a subtle tension in the way he jokes. He might challenge something you said in a light-hearted way, exaggerate your words just to make you laugh, or create inside jokes that only the two of you share. The teasing often carries a slightly suggestive edge, not crude, but just enough to make you wonder if there's more behind his words. This type of flirting is a safe form of vulnerability. He can say something cheeky, and if it lands well, he knows you're open to the energy between you. If not, he can easily play it off as just a joke. It gives him room to express interest without laying everything on the table. Often, this teasing is a way to build tension without needing to be overly direct. For example, he might say something like, "Oh, so you're trouble," with a smirk, or playfully accuse you of being too confident. He's creating contrast, play, and just enough push and pull to make the conversation feel dynamic and alive. You may notice that during these exchanges he watches you closely. Your smile, your laugh, how you respond. He's not just trying to make you laugh, he's reading whether you're engaging at the same level. And often, it's not about the words themselves, it's the tone, the glint in his eye, the little pauses where he gives you room to react. His flirting becomes a game of energy and tension, where the goal is less about the joke and more about how close he can get without crossing a line. It's playful on the surface, but underneath, it's a dance of attraction. When a man is thinking about you sexually, one of the more subconscious things he'll do is start mirroring your body language without even realizing it. This is a psychological phenomenon where his body begins to subtly reflect your gestures, tone, pacing, and posture. It's a form of unconscious connection, his brain aligning with yours in an attempt to build rapport. What makes this so revealing is that it's not calculated. He's not deciding to copy you. His desire pulls him into your orbit, and the easiest way for his body to feel closer is to sync up with yours. If you lean in slightly, he may do the same a moment later. If you cross your legs, he might shift his stance. If you speak in a softer tone, his voice might naturally lower in response. This mirroring doesn't happen with everyone. It tends to occur when someone is deeply focused on another person, either emotionally or physically. In the context of sexual attraction, it becomes a subtle dance of compatibility. His body wants to be in rhythm with yours. It's a way of creating comfort, intimacy, and connection without having to say a word. You might also notice that he mirrors your expressions, laughing when you laugh, nodding as you speak, or tilting his head in the same direction. He's not just listening, he's absorbed, tuning into your wavelength. This behavior often becomes more noticeable in private settings or quieter moments. In a one-on-one conversation, his posture begins to echo yours more closely. If you rest your chin on your hand, you may glance up a few seconds later and see him doing something similar. It can feel like coincidence, but it's not. It's his subconscious trying to align itself with the object of his attraction. And because it happens on a subtle level, he won't usually catch himself doing it. It's driven by the deeper part of him that wants closeness and resonance with you, especially when that attraction is laced with desire. When a man is thinking about you sexually, he may begin to show subtle signs of jealousy. Even if there's no official relationship, and even if he's trying to play it cool, this kind of jealousy doesn't always come in dramatic forms. It's often disguised as curiosity, sarcasm, or indifference. One of the clearest ways it shows up is when he brings up other men around you, seemingly at random. He might ask casually, "Who's that guy you were with the other day?" or comment, "You've got a lot of guy friends, huh?" These aren't just neutral questions. They're soft probes disguised as conversation, meant to test your connection to other men and gauge whether he might have competition. Sometimes he'll bring up other guys in a teasing tone, trying to hide his discomfort behind humor. He may joke about you dating someone else, or mock the idea of you with another man, just to see how you respond. Other times it's more subtle. He may go quiet, or change the subject when you mention another man's name. It's not that he wants to control your attention, it's that he's aware, in a very instinctive way, that he's not the only person who could be occupying your thoughts. And when desire is involved, that awareness stings. This behavior usually ramps up when he feels like he's not in control of how close you are to someone else. He may try to overcompensate by highlighting his own strengths or drawing attention back to himself. He could also shift into a more competitive energy, making offhand remarks about another guy's looks, job, or behavior, not necessarily out of malice, but out of a quiet need to assert dominance. It's not always jealousy in the classic sense. It's his mind processing the idea that you're desirable and that someone else might be thinking the same thing he is, only acting on it faster. When a man is thinking about you sexually, one of the most revealing signs is how his focus either sharpens or disappears altogether. You'll catch him zoning out mid-conversation, not because he's bored, but because his mind has drifted somewhere else, usually to a fantasy involving you. It's like a flicker in his attention, a pause in how he processes the moment. You might ask him a question, and he's suddenly slow to respond or stumbles slightly through his words. That hesitation isn't about confusion. It's the result of his mind being temporarily hijacked by attraction. This kind of mental distraction happens because sexual desire creates a surge of dopamine and other chemicals that affect concentration and awareness. On the flip side, you might see the exact opposite. He becomes intensely focused. When you speak, his eyes lock in. He's not just listening, he's absorbing every word, every shift in your tone, every move you make. His phone stays in his pocket. His attention doesn't wander. And there's a heaviness to his gaze. It's not the kind of focus that comes from casual interest. It's the kind that signals his brain has filtered everything else out. Right now, you are the most stimulating thing in the room. This kind of attention often feels charged, like there's a weight behind his silence. Even when you're not speaking, he's studying you. Your mouth when you talk, the way you move your hands, your eyes when you glance away. This contrast between zoning out and locking in is driven by the same thing, desire. Whether he drifts into his own thoughts or zeroes in on you completely, both responses are ways his mind reacts to arousal. The intensity of sexual interest disrupts his usual rhythm. He either tries to manage it by focusing too hard or gets temporarily lost in the chemistry of the moment. Either way, his behavior shifts from casual to reactive, pulled by something he might not even be ready to admit. So here's the truth. When a man is thinking about you sexually, it doesn't always come out in bold declarations or dramatic gestures. It reveals itself in the quiet moments, the shift in posture when you walk into the room, the way his eyes scan you when he thinks you're not looking, the nervous jokes, the flirty teasing, the sudden attention, the subtle jealousy, and those intense pauses when his mind drifts somewhere it shouldn't in public. These aren't just signs of physical attraction, they're signs of emotional tension, curiosity, and desire, all wrapped up in behaviors he doesn't always control. But here's where it gets powerful for you. Recognizing these signs isn't just about knowing that a man wants you. It's about understanding how he wants you. Is it surface level? Is it sincere? Is it fleeting? or is it focused? Once you learn to see these clues clearly, you'll never again have to second guess his intentions. You'll know when a man is drawn to your body and when he's captivated by your presence. Desire speaks, even in silence. The question is, are you listening?